Jenny Slate has finally made a comment about the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively lawsuit, and I don't know if this is going to disappoint some of you.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are spiraling after Justin Baldoni just secured another brutal court win. The real kicker? Jenny Slate's name got dragged into the mess, and now Blake and Ryan are looking worse than ever. Blake's case was already on shaky ground, but with this new Jenny twist, things are getting really shady for them. The receipts aren't doing any favors either, legal documents are falling apart, and accusations are unraveling. It's quickly turning into a PR nightmare they can't spin. This new detail about Jenny might just be the final blow. Here's how Jenny got pulled into this whole fiasco. Blake's legal team tried a wild move, claiming Jenny is one of the supposed victims from the It Ends With Us set. Let's dive into how Jenny ended up in the middle of this circus.
Hi, I'm Blake Lively.
And I'm Jenny Slate.
And we're both in the movie It Ends With Us.
It Ends With Us.
For those who haven't seen the movie, Jenny Slate plays the sister of Justin Baldoni's character, Riley, and the sister-in-law of Blake Lively's Lily Bloom. After Lily opens up to Alyssa about Riley's abuse, Alyssa supports her in leaving him. Now you'd think this is just fictional drama, right? Wrong. Off-screen, Jenny apparently made her own complaints about the It Ends With Us set. And this is where things get really messy, because Blake somehow decided to use those complaints to strengthen her case. People are straight up stunned after hearing the truth about Jenny's story, and even more confused about why Blake would bring up an entirely unrelated situation as if it somehow proved her point. Believe it or not, it's already been confirmed that Justin Baldoni wasn't even involved in the so-called incident, and now Jenny might actually testify.
Jenny Slate literally filed a complaint against Jamie Heath for his kindness. Yeah, because they want to weaponize that against, like Blake weaponizes it against Baldoni.
But before we dive into Jenny's wild claims, you need to understand the energy between her and Blake on set. Once you see how these two women were moving behind the scenes, it'll make all the courtroom chaos make a lot more sense.
That we were really getting to know each other in a really beautiful, fun, real way every day on set.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful.
First off, just like Brandon Senior, Jenny was one of Blake's co-stars who didn't just stand by her. She went hard for Blake when the drama with Baldoni popped up. She even went public with a whole statement, calling the claims in Blake's lawsuit terribly dark, disturbing, and wholly threatening. But she didn't stop there. Jenny followed up with an even longer message, making it crystal clear that she was fully in Blake's corner, saying, "As Blake Lively's castmate and friend, I voice my support as she takes action against those reported to have planned and carried out an attack on her reputation." Blake is a leader, loyal friend, and a trusted source of emotional support for me and so many who know and love her. But here's where it gets wicked. While Jenny was out here standing 10 toes down for Blake, the internet wasn't about to let her slide that easily. People started digging into her past, and let's just say, it's not giving innocent bystander. Suddenly, old clips resurfaced, reminding everyone how Jenny once proudly admitted to putting hands on her ex, Chris Evans. But more on that later. For now, let's break down how Blake dragged Jenny's name right into her amended lawsuit.
Fans and media can be brutal. You go back through your history. You go back and look. You say, what have you done before? How have you treated people?
Now listen closely, because here's what happens next. According to The Hollywood Reporter, it wasn't just Baldoni who ran into issues when interacting with cast members. The outlet has learned more about the nature of the complaint that It Ends With Us actress Jenny Slate lodged, which was referenced in court documents with her name redacted. It stemmed from an interaction with Heath about the apartment Slate had rented in New York City while filming It Ends With Us. So Jenny, who has a toddler, is based in LA and had to move to New York for the movie, naturally needed to rent a place. Slate told Heath that she wasn't thrilled with the space she had rented, but moving wasn't an option because she didn't want to lose the sizable security deposit, around $155,000. Heath informed Slate that Wayfarer would reimburse her for the lost deposit so she could find better accommodations. But apparently he made the offer using language that made Slate uncomfortable. Sources say he focused intensely on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother. According to sources, Sony became aware of Slate's concerns and informed Wayfarer about them. Now let's sit on this for a second. So Jenny wasn't happy with her apartment, made a big fuss about it, and then when someone actually stepped up to fix the issue with a $155,000 offer, instead of saying thank you, she said, "Actually, I feel violated." This has been a hot topic for days. One comment reads, "As a woman and mother, this is so sad and crazy that a woman would complain about a man valuing her role as a mother." Another comment says, "These complaints are so offensive to anyone who has ever been in a situation that was actually threatening." And another adds, "Jenny filed a complaint because someone offered to financially help her move so her daughter could be safe." He used the words sanctity of motherhood, and she found that uncomfortable. "I'm just shaking my head right now."
At the beginning of this Rolling Stone article, they had a quote from some source saying, "I've never worked with a male director who was so worried about everyone's emotional and mental well-being."
People have calmed through the so-called offensive moment and concluded that it wasn't even HR worthy. In fact, most people are saying they'd literally kill for a boss who sees you struggling and actually tries to help you out. But not Jenny. She took a good deed and twisted it into a whole case of disrespect. Make it make sense. And here's where it gets even more layered. Apparently, the whole gesture that set Jenny off was tied to Baldoni and Heath's beliefs. Sources say both of them, along with co-founder Steve Switz, are part of the Baha'i faith. This is important because Baha'i teachings emphasize the sanctity of motherhood and deeply value equality and justice. But instead of seeing the kindness behind it, Jenny called it inappropriate. Long story short, the complaint had nothing to do with Justin but Heath for being generous and showing concern for her child's well-being. This just goes to confirm what Sony had said earlier, that there were no HR complaints filed against Justin Baldoni. Guys, believe it or not, this is supposed to be the so-called evidence Blake tried to flex in her amended lawsuit, claiming she wasn't alone in raising complaints about Justin and Heath during filming. But now that the full story is out, people are saying Blake is doing the absolute most, and that if this HR complaint about Heath is what she's referring to as her smoking gun, it's a serious stretch.
This person is not an honest broker. I believe her less than ever. I actually disbelieve her fully now.
Meanwhile, Justin is still receiving overwhelming support, with more and more people shifting away from Blake's camp now that it looks like she's not really calling out legitimate misconduct, but instead just throwing accusations and hoping something will stick. And we're still not done with Jenny Slate. Y'all already know how it goes. Once you bring that mean girl energy, the internet will start digging into your past for more dirt. And dig they did. What they found on Jenny is way more disturbing than her HR complaint against Heath. Just when you think it couldn't get any worse for Jenny, an old clip of her and Chris Evans on Anna Faris's podcast has started making the rounds. And let's just say people aren't letting this one slide. Take a listen.
I never hit anybody as much as I hit Chris. And when I came back,
Who's the one that instigates it?
I don't know what it was, but I never hit anybody in my life. I don't know. That's it. I love
Right
it.
here, right now.
Dear listeners,
On the face.
I slapped him so much. I
Slate.
love it.
We have. Where's the?
leave them to sign
I
release forms.
hit him so much. I came back from making our movie and hit some of my friends because I was so used to just hitting Chris all the time, and a couple of my friends were like, "You know what? We really don't like it." And I hit my husband, and he was like, "Nobody likes that. Like, you should hit people." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're right. There's only one person."
You know your own strength because you're a strong dude. You're like Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
The other thing, no, is that I realized he was letting me do it.
And now this is the person that Blake Lively is supposedly holding up as her smoking gun. The same woman who filed an HR complaint because someone talked to her about motherhood and offered her money to help relocate. This is who Blake's team is betting on to back up her claims? Yeah, not a very wise move. Also, it looks like Blake hangs around people who are just as tone deaf as she is. Oh, and by the way, Jenny Slate and Chris Evans broke up ages ago, and he's never, not once, addressed why they broke up or the details of their relationship. He was once asked about it and said he was steering clear of those questions. Now, fans are wondering just how bad things got between them. Also, guys, when I found out that Jenny took the $155,000 even after filing a complaint, I audibly gasped. She took the money. Well, all right, switching gears here a bit. Baldoni's team is of course on top of things. His lawyer, Brian Friedman, is still working around the clock to clear Justin's name. And to be honest, It's getting harder and harder for Blake Lively to dodge the heat.
Whatever, and you learn about it, and you spark each other's creativity level, and like, yeah.
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 Now you're at the place of physical. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's we can
Now you'd think the drama would end here as we wait to see how these legal things play out in court. But nope, it just keeps spiraling out of control. It goes without saying that Blake's team isn't going down without a fight, even though they've been seriously underperforming. They've now twisted the Jenny Slate situation to make it seem like Baldoni's team is running a smear campaign against her. But that doesn't seem to be the case, though, because Jenny's background is being exposed by third-party content creators, especially TikTokers, who have been knee-deep in this mess since day one. Word on the street is that Blake's team approached Jenny to get involved in their lawsuit, but she wanted no part of it. Seeing the whole thing crumbling down, Jenny wisely stayed away. If that's true, her PR and legal counsel made the right call because, as it stands, she's already getting shredded to pieces. Yet her connection to Blake's side is still just speculation. Many are saying she's potentially ended her career by siding with a bully, and her DV incident with her ex only made things worse for her. Remember, Justin Baldoni's attorney called Blake's amended complaint underwhelming due to its lack of evidence. He said her underwhelming amended complaint is filled with unsubstantial hearsay from unnamed persons who are clearly no longer willing to come forward or publicly support her claims. Since documents do not lie and people do, the upcoming depositions of those who initially supported Ms. Lively's false claims and those who are witnesses to her own behavior will be enlightening. What's truly uncomfortable here is Ms. Lively's lack of actual evidence. Since Fredman has more intel on the matter than the rest of us, he seems to be confirming that Blake's co-stars who were so quick to support her no longer want any part of her case after seeing how things are unraveling. Regardless, we're going to get more details on Jenny Slate's situation because Fredman confirmed they'll all be deposed, including Taylor Swift.
Well, that amended lawsuit that Blake put out was more like a Lifetime movie screenplay. Who wrote this amended lawsuit? She probably didn't have any new evidence. You had to go back a decade to pull up Justin's TED Talk to use sound bites from that TED Talk to try to prove your point here. You also mentioned that the smear campaign impacted your hair product line sales. I don't think that was it, love. I just think people don't want to look like they were dragged through a bunch of branches on the way to work. No.
Oh, and one more thing. It's becoming pretty obvious that some news outlets aren't exactly providing accurate information on the case either. They're either reporting without getting their facts straight or getting corrected way too late. The Hollywood Reporter, which has been deep into the Blake versus Baldoni case, has been moving real Sues lately.
I can tell you this: there's anyone that reasonably has information that can be that can provide evidence in this case is going to be posed.
That's Taylor Swift. She was there for that meeting.
She was there for that meeting.
Okay, well, I'm a lawyer. I know what that means.